It's no doubt that North Korea is one of the most secretive countries in the world. The country's ruling family, the Kims, have held power over the country since 1948. North Korea's international kidnapping operations in the 1970s and 1980s are little known outside of Japan and South Korea. The Japanese government officially recognizes 17 missing citizens as North Korean abductees, although some say there could be hundreds more. Today, we count down the top 4 cases of missing people who are allegedly abducted by North Korea. Number 4. Yahiko Taguchi. Yahiko Taguchi, a 22-year-old single mother, was last seen on June 12, 1978, dropping off her young son and daughter at their usual daycare in Tokyo. She never came back to pick them up that evening, and never showed up to her hostess job at the Cabaret Hollywood. Nobody could say whether she had been abducted or simply walked off. Her son ended up being adopted by Taguchi's brother and his wife, and her daughter was adopted by a different couple. Taguchi's brother brought her son up as his own and planned not to tell him the truth about his real parents until he was an adult. In 1987, however, the case took a dramatically bizarre turn when a North Korean spy named Kim Hyun-woo was arrested after posing as a Japanese citizen in order to board a South Korean plane. Hu planted a bomb on board and then left. The bomb exploded while the plane was in mid-air, killing all 115 people on it. Hu admitted to the authorities that she was the bomber, but she also claimed that she was trained by Yahiko Taguchi. After further investigation, it was found that North Korean secret agents had been monitoring the Cabaret Hollywood back when Taguchi worked there. She was abducted and taken to North Korea by boat, where it's thought that she was forced to teach spies how to act like Japanese citizens. The North Korean government claims that she was killed in a car accident in 1986, but former abductees insist that she is still alive, anxious to go home, and often in tears because she misses her children so much. Number 3. Yutaka Kimmi. Of the 17 people officially recognized by the Japanese government as having been kidnapped by North Korean agents, Yutaka Kimmi's disappearance is the earliest, and he is probably the least likely of the official victims to still be alive today. Kimmi was a 52-year-old security guard who worked at Tokyo's Mitaka City Hall. He was last seen on September 19, 1977 on a beach in Japan's Ishikawa prefecture. Around the time of Kimmi's disappearance, a Korean had been arrested in the area on suspicion of smuggling Japanese people from Ushitsu Bay to Korea. A local newspaper published an article in November suggesting that Kimmi might have defected to North Korea on a secret ship. As the years went by, after more and more Japanese citizens were rumored to have been abducted, Kimmi's disappearance was no longer considered voluntary. Japanese authorities now believe that he was kidnapped by a spy named Kim Se-ho, a North Korean man who was in Japan in 1977 on official business for a trade mission. The Metropolitan Police Department and the Ishikawa Prefectural Police have said that Kim met Kimmi in Tokyo and lured him to Ishikawa with the promise of negotiating a trade deal. Once he had arrived there, Kim and several other agents abducted him and sent him on a boat to North Korea. Pyongyang disputes this, however, and claims that Kimmi has never been on its soil. Kim's current whereabouts are also unknown, and he has been put on an international wanted list. Number 2. Kimiko Fukumoto. In March of 1970, Takeshi Okamoto and 8 other members of the Red Army faction, armed with samurai swords and pipe bombs, hijacked a Japan Airlines plane carrying 122 passengers and crew of 7. They ordered the plane to fly to Pyongyang, but first wanted to drop off and release the passengers at Gimpo Airport in South Korea. The group then went on to Pyongyang, where they stayed and were granted asylum by the North Korean government. One of the hijackers, Yashiro Shibata, returned to Japan and was arrested in 1988. Yoshimi Tanaka, another hijacker, returned in 2000. The other 7 members, however, are still wanted by the Japanese government. 4 of the hijackers are still known to be alive, while 3 of them, including Okamoto, are believed to be dead. While the surviving hijackers claim that Okamoto and his wife, Kimiko Fukumoto, were killed in a landslide in 1988, there are rumors that they are currently incarcerated in a labor camp. Fukumoto was a university student and also a member of the Red Army faction. How exactly she ended up in North Korea and married to Okamoto is a mystery, as she was last seen in Mongolia in 1976. While Red Army faction members were encouraged to live and study in North Korea, National Association for the Rescue of Japanese Kidnapped by North Korea, also known as NARKN, believes that she was abducted and forced to marry Okamoto against her will. Takamaro Tamiya, the leader of the 1970 hijackers, has been accused of helping to organize her kidnapping. Number 1. David Snedden. At the time of his disappearance, David Snedden was a 24-year-old university student from the US studying in Beijing over the summer of 2004. Snedden was taking Mandarin classes and had previously learned Korean while serving as a Mormon missionary in South Korea. In August, after his class finished, he decided he would travel around Western China for a few weeks before going to Seoul to meet his older brother Michael on August 26th. He last emailed his parents on August the 11th telling them that he was in Yunnan, a province that borders along Laos, Myanmar, and Vietnam. The Sneddens weren't initially worried that David hadn't contacted them in 2 weeks, believing that he was in a remote area which lacked internet access. On August the 26th, however, they received a phone call from Michael in South Korea. David had never arrived. After an investigation, the Chinese government concluded that David probably tripped and drowned while hiking in the Tiger Leap Gorge. That had happened to hikers in the area before, but unlike David, their bodies eventually turned up. The Snedden family organized a trip to Yunnan themselves in September and found witnesses who had seen David during and after his hike. In 2011, the Sneddens received a phone call from Chuck Downs, a Pentagon official who suspected that David might have been abducted by North Korean agents. The next year, the NARKN announced that a North Korean defector in China reported that a university student from the US was arrested by the authorities in August 2004 for helping North Korean refugees. He was released the next month, but handed over to 5 North Korean agents. It's possible that they moved him to North Korea to teach English, as the country had lost one of its English teachers the month before David disappeared. So that's it for today's video. As always, thank you so much for watching, and make sure to tune in again tomorrow for another brand new episode.